Thanks a lot. I think it's better I stick to English in order to get us all on the same linguistic level and in order to facilitate the debate afterwards. Is the mic on? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. Justin and Raul, you brought into this room a sort of freedom, I think, and I think we are really thinking loud together here, and that's the beauty of this conference. And I'm of course very impressed by that haunting soundscape which comes into that very room here, stemming from Belinda's exhibition, which I have been able to visit before. We are both here on the front line, and there's also Ariane, Karbe, of course, and there's also Hertha Wallner, head of the foundation of the Villa Freischütz, which I'm going to talk about. Sorry for that graphics. It's Microsoft. You see it immediately. It's not at a Kunst Meran level. I'll give a short introduction, and afterwards Ariane will present to you some remarks which are trying to give to us this broader picture, which is very important to us. Please, if you could go one step ahead. Yeah, the next one. So there's that little helper. Wonderful. I'm going to talk about our issue, Yannick Karbe's and my issue here, under two short headings. It's the Italian colonialism as the broader picture here, of course, in which this remnant or this artifact is to be is anchored. And then, of course, the Villa Freischütz itself, which is a house museum here in Merano, in the Obermair district, and its cloak, which you see on the right-hand side. But you see also the dramatis personae in some way, which is Menelik, above the Ethiopian emperor, which in 1896, I think, defeated Italian expeditionary force in Adwa, which is something of a trauma to within Italian history, and 10 Italians came back. The second Italo-Ethiopian war, a war of aggression and invasion, took place in 63. In 36, 35, 36, and the General Navarini, one of the owners of the Villa Freischütz, one of the last owners who married Louise Fromm, the daughter of the Fromm family, and lived in the Villa Freischütz, was active there as military. So he was a soldier, he was a commander, he was killing, he was looting, and that's the link. Please. See that's the. So I'm a historian. You notice that of course these pictures are from Wiki Commons, but I try to cross the border here, and we are trying to close the gap, to quote Leslie Fiedler in some way. These you see the Italian dream of the late fascist period is to create this big, enormous, monumental empire, Mediterranean empire, substituting the British colonial empire and conquering as much land as possible, which in 36, Italy still occupied Libya, but in 35, completely unprovoked, Italy attacked Ethiopia. The last three not colonized territory within Africa, which was in that period completely colonized. And you see the movements of the troops from the military from the northern part, from Eritrea, and from the southern part. Navarini took part was a part of the Graziani column, or they started from Somalia, from the southern part, and invading Ethiopia. These created an enormous space of violence. The estimates are about 500, if not more, people killed there, Ethiopian people killed, possibly 700,000 among civilian, military, of course, women, children, and so it's a huge space of violence, of killing, and of ruling, of subjugating. Please, the next one. Yeah, and there's really, among this ocean of violence, stood out this Yekatid 12, which is the February 19 in the Amharic calendar, massacre in Addis Ababa, which followed the attempt to assassinate the Italian vice king, the self-proclaimed, of course, governor of Ethiopia, Graziani, who was, by the way, Navarini's chief. This attempt failed, and in the following days, among between 15 and 20,000 people were ruthlessly killed in the streets of Addis Ababa. And there's this picture on the left-hand side, because it's disturbing. I took it from Wiki Comments, but I put on at least that red line into market in some way, because I know it is re-traumatizing when you see those pictures, which are anyway in the public domain, and you see it on the right-hand side. That is the big monument in the main square of Addis Ababa, the Yekatid 12 monument. It states a day of remembrance, the February 19 of all the people killed during those 4-5 years of Italian occupation of Ethiopia, Abyssinia. But at the center, that's a monument in Bolzano. It's a column in Bolzano on the rear of the monument to victory, which is the big fascist monument to victory, a column from 38, remembering from the point of view of the conquerors, the colonizer, of the killer, of Cortés, so to say. You know all the song, the big song of Cortés the Killer by Neil Young. So it's that mindset. Africa Orientale. So it's all those Italian wars waged against Libya, Africa, and also Spain. And on that column, on that marble, there's some sort of I prefer to see this as some sort of a guerrilla communication. Someone put on those animals as some sign of these are the symbols of Ethiopian Abyssinian resistance. The goats, but they are also remembering Agitu Gideto, an Eritrean woman active here in that region, killed a femicide 3 or 4 years ago. Many of you maybe knew her, a businesswoman, entrepreneur, also a fugitive from her own land. And so it's to me, it's a very strong, in its simplicity, in its yeah, honesty is a very strong symbol of so it's some sort of reshaping, resemanticating, something which is always still, when you see that column, of course, and the text on it, disturbing and yes. Oh, sorry, I got you. Did I jump one slide? Yeah. When in 2021, Ariane in the first place, and me in the second place, because you were so kind to ask me to join your enterprise, and of course have a, we try to address the topic of colonial legacy within the collections of the Villa Freischütz. We dedicated our small exhibition, because Villa Freischütz one was that doesn't have many money, so it's we dedicated the whole initiative to Angelo Del Boca, who died in that same year, who is a great, in some way also within the public sphere, forgotten Italian historian who clearly from the 1970s onwards completely addressed and made visible and transparent the whole bunch of Italian violence within its African colonies or occupied lands, using chemicals, killing, genocide, and so on. So this seminal book of his, Italiani Brava Gente, it's one of the great big books of dealing with that toxic legacy. That's the exhibit. So we provided some sort of leaflets. I think has got some. Oh yeah, and we can then also distribute them to the website. We did it in 4 languages, also in Amharic, as you may see. I don't understand Amharic, of course, but it's some sort of to recognize the dignity of this heritage, which in some way exists in Merano, and there's the website, of course. And we are stating we have no doubt that General Navarini brought the cloak, the lamp, and there's no document about how exactly, and so on and so on. So because it's that context from which it stems, because Navarini, and we found within, so we try to undress the museum, to come to terms with its darker, with the dark matter of its racist and colonial ingredients. And we found, for example, that book on the effetti di gas di guerra from his possession. So he was actively trying to prepare his troops to cope with when they would use, not the Ethiopians, of course, but when they would use, by invading Eritrea to Ethiopia, Abyssinia, Somalia, of course, these toxic gases. And there's also this wonderful picture of a female resistance sent to Navarini, possibly by his wife, by Louisa Fromm. We don't know why. We don't know why she did it, and we're only supposing it's some sort of small, resistance within the couple, possibly, but it is to signify that there's more than only, because which was so fascinating us. It's there's that cloak, that Ethiopian cloak we found within which belonged to a former Ethiopian aristocrat linked to the imperial court. Of course, we don't know who he was, but we know that Navarini took it away. And of course, it symbolizes that sort of power, that also male power of an Ethiopian ruler, collected by the new Italian ruler in order maybe to satisfy his infringed honor stemming back to Adua. So that there's also this. So it encapsulates a lot of power, but it's we are within that male universe of power shifting from to and fro, and so that there was a female resistance too, and female soldiers and female within the big resistance movement, which never ceased up to 41 when they allied, and the resistance movement itself throughout the Italian military from Ethiopia, and then all this this nightmare stopped. So and we create within the small exhibition these juxtapositions, only not using moral arguments, but juxtaposing the cloak with the uniform of Navarini, with some photographs from portraying him as some satisfied soldier, and those press clippings. Then, well, that's anyway. Yeah, you see on the left-hand side that's Karbe and Ariane collecting the also an award. So and the Digamusabat for the podcast later on, because the exhibition tried to be very interactive yeah. But there's also a lot of silence, especially here in this region, and we would like to address that also, because from 21 onwards, no one asked us to present those issues except Kunst Meran. So thank you very much. So that's my last picture. And I would like to use this opportunity to, in some way, because it's a space of free thinking here. And I was, when I saw the wonderful graphic, the poster, the presentation, I was wondering about this prefix "re." So yeah, that's a question, or a quest in some way, or I'm trembling when I'm using "re", because "re" suggests always you can unwind something, you can reverse something. And I'm not so sure if that is true. But I heard a lot of very intelligent things also from Lotte beforehand. So it's the Verschiebung des Wissens and not so much the Rückgabe. So that's a great. So and I would, and in some way it's wonderfully shown by this famous paradox figure ground by the Rubin Ways or Face, you know, the Danish psychologist who created that in 1915. So it's always in the eye of the observer what you are seeing, and I think that's very appropriate to our whole issue here. So it is only a suggestion for further debate to how do we address this "we". Okay, I'm stopping here and I hand immediately over to Ariane. And thank you very much.
Is it working? Can you hear me clearly? Okay, I stand up because for me it's easier to talk while standing. I have more power. So I just want to use the opportunity, and thank you very much for this, to add 3 points that are important to me concerning the project and that are, I think, interesting for our discussion. And the first point is that it was a very difficult project. And it's important to me to say this openly and honestly, because we want to encourage other small museums to address the very sensitive topics of restitution and decolonization. And we had a major crisis during the process because suddenly we asked ourselves if it was disrespectful to offer the objects on our own initiative. If it wouldn't be wiser and more respectful just to publish all the information as we did. You can still find all the information about the objects in the exhibition in 3 and 4 languages on our website. But still, we asked museums in Ethiopia that we are thinking about the question of giving them back if they would be interested. And the question that was the reason for our doubting, it suddenly was that a colleague from the Goethe Institute in Addis Ababa, a German, she commented on our website that from her experience, it's for many Ethiopians very important that Ethiopia, from their point of view, was not colonized and is, besides Liberia, the only state in Africa not having been a colony. So it depends on the perspective, but for us it was, oh, we wanted to do a good thing, and now we are asking ourselves if we hurt people. And we decided to keep with offering it because for us it's a question of balancing justice. There are too many museums, there are so many requests since the 60s, last century. Bénédicte Savoy discovered this in her book and described it. And there are so many museums who are not willing to give things back, so that we thought, even we are so small, we want to make this gesture. And so that was the reason to stick to this. The second point is that we wanted to encourage other small museums, as I said, and that was the first idea why I initiated this project. To be very open about our struggles, about our fears, about our doubts. You can listen to the podcast. It's still on our website, Der Äthiopische Mantel. And we talk very openly about our doubts because we do not want to present ourselves as perfect. We are totally informed about all the theories, post-colonial debates, and we read every book, not at all. But still, we think that this topic, and that was my initial idea. I think it's a topic every museum in Europe has to address, even if it's very small, because it's our shared responsibility. First, because incorporating exotic objects, it's such an important part of the history of the institution museum. And so I think it's important to confront this history. And even though if you just focus on a single object, it doesn't matter, but just go for it. So that was the reason why we made very transparent our process. And the third point, and this links to what Lotte said, that I think that the issue of restitution, it's so important for us to discuss because I think it's time to make a major shift, which is long overdue, because museums, they identify by keeping objects. And I think, in German, die Zeit ist eine andere, das ist nicht mehr zeitgemäß. It's not contemporary, it's not, we have to make a major shift and we have to put people first and not objects. Yeah, thank you.